Kayla, and today I'm going to be talking about how the Apple Watch can help the blind tell time and tell time discreetly with what they call Taptic time, which vibrates the time on your wrist. So first I'm going to talk about kind of my experience of trying to find an accessible watch and why exactly I landed on the Apple Watch. And then I'm going to talk about the Taptic time feature and its different settings and all of the details about that. And I will put a timestamp for when I start talking about the Taptic time feature if you want to skip ahead. So, as many of you know, I am legally blind. I do not have very much usable vision left at all. And so I cannot see a clock or a watch. I tell time by having VoiceOver read me the time on my iPhone, or if I really need to, I can zoom into the time on my iPhone and really squint at it and hold it up to my face, which is not a very practical way to tell time. But neither of those options are very discreet ways to tell time. So if you are in the middle of a meeting or in the middle of class, and you want to know what time it is, but you don't want to have your phone held up right in front of your face or to have VoiceOver read it aloud where other people can hear it, it's kind of difficult to be able to tell time. And this kind of came to a head for me when I was doing counseling sessions because I wasn't able to keep track of the time, and I would set a timer on my phone to go off 5 minutes before the session was over, to kind of give me that heads up to wrap up, but I wasn't able to know how much time we had left while we were going through the session. So if I wanted to do an activity or start digging into kind of a heavy topic, I didn't want to start doing that if that timer was about to go off in 2 minutes. So I started thinking there has to be a way for me to be able to tell time discreetly and quietly. And so I started looking at braille watches and tactile watches on the internet with the help of my husband being my eyes. And I really wasn't having a lot of luck because most of them are just not very stylish at all. So unfortunately, a lot of low vision products are kind of geared towards the elderly. And I am a 28-year-old woman that likes to be fashionable and likes to be stylish. And those watches looked like something that my grandpa would wear, and they just weren't something that I really wanted to wear. And also a lot of people think that since blind people can't see, they don't care what things look like, which is not true at all. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But I'm a woman in my 20s and I like to look good, just like everyone else. Another issue with them is a lot of them were very large. I'm a small person. I particularly have very small wrists and hands, and they were just way too big, and I didn't think they would look good on me at all. The third issue is that they were really expensive, especially for something that I didn't even like the look of at all. I didn't want to pay $200 for a watch that I didn't even like. I think probably the best option out of all of them that we found was a watch that used ball bearings. And I think it was $250, somewhere in that ballpark. So even though it was the best looking out of all the options, it still didn't look good, and that's a lot of money to pay for a watch that I didn't even like. So I was feeling really discouraged, and I was like, I wish they had something like a smartwatch that could just vibrate the time on your wrist or something. And then I thought, I wonder if that exists. So I started researching and found out that the Apple Watch did in fact have that feature where it could vibrate the time on your wrist. And this is something I had no idea about. I had never heard of this, but honestly, I had never really looked into the Apple Watch very much because I'm not super into fitness, so it wasn't something that I really felt like I needed to have, so it's not something that I ever really looked into. But once I found that it had the Taptic time feature, I said, this is perfect. This is just what I need. So something I really like about the Apple Watch is that it's pretty trendy. a ton of people wear Apple Watches. They're very common, and it's not something that's blind specific, whereas those kind of braille watches and tactile watches, pretty much only blind people wear those. But with the Apple Watch, everyone's wearing them, so you don't really stand out. And they're pretty stylish looking. So something that's really cool is you can switch out the bands. So here's my Apple Watch. I have the one that has this silver casing, and it came with a white band, but right now I have a white band with like black illustrations of roses on it, which I really like that band. I think it's super cute. And they have tons of different bands, all kinds of colors and patterns and styles, so you can really personalize it to your own style, or you can, match it with your outfit or whatever you want to do with it, so you can make it pretty fashionable. The next thing I like about the Apple Watch is that you get a lot more than just the time. It has fitness tracking, heart rate tracking, all kinds of different apps. You can check your text messages, your emails, you can make phone calls from it. It really does a lot. It's also completely voiceover compatible, so that's great. You can also use the zoom feature on it, but the screen is so small, I'm not sure exactly how practical that is, but it is an option. But what really sold me is that compared to the other watches I was looking at, the Apple Watch was actually a really reasonable price. So currently they sell the Apple Watch Series 3 and Series 5. There's no 4, just 3 or 5. And I think this 6 is coming out soon. So I have the Series 3, which starts at $200, and then the Series 5 starts at $400. So a lot of the other braille and tactile watches that I was looking at were around that $200 price point for just a watch, and an ugly one at that. And, the most attractive one that still wasn't very attractive was even more than that, like around $250. But the Apple Watch, with $200, you get a watch and, all of those other features that I just talked about. So I know to some of you, a $200 watch may seem like a lot, but in comparison to the other watches that I was looking at, you get a lot more bang for your buck. Okay, so now let's talk about the Taptic time feature. So how this works is it vibrates the time on your wrist. So it does a long vibrate for 10s and a short vibrate for 1s. So if the time was 2:30, it would do 2 short vibrates and then pause and then do 3 long vibrates to do 2:30. And there are 2 other settings for the Taptic time. So one, it does a long tap for 5s and short tap for 1s. And then on the minutes, it just does a long tap for each quarter hour. So if it was 2:45, it would do 2 short taps and then pause and then do 3 long taps for those 3 quarter hours. And you can also set it to vibrate the time in Morse code as well. So you'll find how to turn this on if you go into your settings and go to clock. You can turn on Taptic time and pick which setting you want it. And then if you go into accessibility, you can actually change the speed of the vibrations on Taptic time. So there's some settings for it in the clock, and then there's some settings in accessibility. So check both of those when you're setting it up. Okay, so now let's talk about how to get the watch to tell you the Taptic time. So if you tap your watch screen just one time, the screen lights up and it tells you the time with voiceover. If you tap the screen twice with one finger, that is what gives you the Taptic time. And if you tap the screen 3 times with one finger, it will give you just the minutes. So if you know that it's 4 o'clock, but you're not sure exactly what time, if you tap 3 times, it'll give you just the minutes. And then 2 times for the entire time. Now, if you don't have voiceover on, the gesture is different. If you do not have voiceover on, you will tap and hold 2 fingers on the screen. So that's really important to note because I was really struggling to get it to work because all of the articles I was reading about Taptic time said to tap and hold 2 fingers on the screen, but the gesture is different if you have voiceover on. And another little nifty feature I want to talk about is the chimes feature, which does either a little bird sound or a little bell sound every hour, half hour, or quarter hour, whichever you have it set to, or you could just have it off completely. And the little bell sound or bird sound is actually pretty subtle, but also if your watch is on mute, it won't do those sounds. It'll just do a little vibrate on each of those. So this is just a good way to kind of keep track of passing time, you know, to have like that little vibrate every half hour or whatever you have it set to. And again, there are settings for this feature in the clock section and in the accessibility section, so check both of those to find all of the settings for it. And one more feature that I will mention that isn't really time related, but it is a very blind friendly feature, and that is that you can do Find My iPhone from your watch. So if you're like me, maybe you set your phone down in all kinds of random places around your house and then you can't find it because you can't see, and it's not really practical to feel around with your hands around the entire house to try and find it. So you can ping your iPhone from your watch and your phone will make this loud noise so you can easily find it, and it is super convenient. It's one of my other favorite features of the watch. Okay, so that's about it for me. That's all I'm going to talk about regarding the Apple Watch. I'm not going to go into its other features and things like that because I am just not a techie or tech review kind of person. So if you want to know more about it, you can look up other videos or search online. I just wanted to share with you guys this Taptic time feature because, like I said, it's something that I had never heard about and I didn't know about, and it really solved my dilemma for finding an accessible watch and a discreet way to tell time. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. So let me know in the comments below if you have an Apple Watch and if you like it. Let me know if you knew about this feature. Also, if there are other like particularly blind friendly things I can do on the Apple Watch, please let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know if you happen to have a tactile or braille watch that you like that maybe doesn't look like a grandpa. Let me know down in the comments below because I would be really interested about that as well. So just give me all of your thoughts, and I hope you guys liked this video, and I will see you next time.